Good evening, everyone. Please confirm you can hear me. Either with your favorite emoji or on the chat. Okay, so all right, thank you so much. Today is another live session, DSML live session, and I would like to introduce our tutor. I hope you're ready to learn directly from your tutor today, and is the content creator for your class. So let's get started. Um,
Yeah, hello and good evening, everyone. Thank you, Oluwatobi Shalom. Please.
I've not yet introduced you. So let me just quickly go through your bio, then you can start, please. Mr.
Sure, thank
Salaudin.
you.
Okay. Okay, please confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so Mr. Salaudin is a data analyst with 4 years of experience, and he has spent the last 3 years building and managing data pipelines on Azure as an operational data analyst at NatView Foundation Technology Foundation for Technology Information. So in addition, he serves as a data engineering instructor for the On-Click Cardinal Data Science Fellowship Program. Mudeta also holds the position of General Manager and Scrum Master at EverVault, and is a software and AI startup. He earned a first-class degree in computer science from Usmanu Danfodiyo University in Sokoto. So please welcome Mr. Salaudin as he takes over. Mr. Salaudin, please, you can resume now. You're still muted.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, just to take it again. Hello and good evening, everyone. It's nice to have a one-on-one session with us all. I'm really sure it's been a really hectic series of months trying to learn new tools and trying to get comfortable with a whole new platform, which is Azure Cloud, integrating what you've learned off a cloud system, and now you have to integrate machine learning with Azure. I'm sure it has been an interesting learn for you. In this series, we'll briefly be summarizing all we've learned, and then we'll be taking some questions and see how we can solve some of the issues that you must have had throughout your learning journey. So I'll start by taking us through the basics, which is number one, what exactly is machine learning, right? So we all know machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence, and in short, it's that programs that allows us to improve what we do. Basically, possibly you have to wake up every day and then read through series of texts, read through a whole lot of emails, and then one machine just comes in, and then that machine is able to easily perform those tasks for you. Possibly also you might be in a process or in an activity where you need to make particular predictions, and it takes you so much time to work on that. Simply put, machine learning just allows to abstract all of that and then easily make predictions for you. It allows you to recognize patterns, allows you to take decisions on data. And then with Azure, it simplifies all this process. What we're used to is that we write series of lines of code and then we push in a data set into it. And then after that, we have our results. Remember, it means one has to be technically sound. You need to know your Python really well. You need to know how to web scrape. You need to a whole lot of bunch of tools that you need to learn before you're able to perform a simple solve a simple machine learning problem. Now, with Azure, it encapsulates all of that. It's like, oh, you do not have to write code from scratch. Instead, everything is bundled up. So you just drag and drop, and then you're able to make use of all of those machine learning models that you must have learned beforehand. So let's dive right in, learn a little bit about cloud, and then jump back into Azure and kill some hard to kill dragons, right, on Azure Machine Learning Workspace. Before I proceed, I would like to also know if all of you can hear me clearly, and also if you do have specific questions in mind earlier on that you'd love to ask, I think it's the right time for you to write them down, and we're going to take those questions at the end of the session. But please do confirm that you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can hear you well.
Great, great. So I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, so here we go. So we're starting off with a basic introduction to Azure and Azure ML. When we talk about Azure, Azure is an example of the cloud platforms that we have out there. We have Google Cloud Platform, we have Azure, which is owned by Microsoft, we have IBM Cloud, which I'm very sure you've learned about as well. We have Oracle, and we have many more. We also have AWS. So in this program, we focused on Azure. Why? Because a whole lot of companies out there, big companies, Fortune 500 Fortune companies all rely on Azure. And if you know Azure, learning any other cloud platform is going to be easy. So what's cloud computing? We've mentioned cloud, cloud, cloud. What exactly is cloud computing? So as you've all learned, cloud computing is a practice of using remote online servers rather than local servers or personal computers to store, manage, and process data. So shortly put, it's you having another computer in the cloud apart from your local computer. Your question is, why do I need that? You need that because your local computer might have 4 gig of RAM and it might have 500 gig solid state memories, your SSD, and then possibly you have 2.4 gigahertz processor. You are limited. I'm sure by the time you start to run your deep learning models and your system starts to hang, now you have a cloud. A cloud has unlimited resources. You just pay for what you need and you're able to use it. So with a small computer that might have 1 gig RAM, you're able to access the cloud and perform big computations. It allows you to also store files as backups, which you can always have access to anywhere and everywhere. And to simply put, that is what we refer to as cloud computing. It has certain advantages. Number one is scalability. It allows you to scale up resources up or down based on your need. Just like we've mentioned in the first class when we started off Azure Machine Learning, number one key advantage of cloud computing is scalability. You're able to say, oh, I want Azure Cloud to be able to perform, to process 10,000 transactions at a time. And then when you have only 2 transactions coming in, you're able to scale down resources. But if you do buy a computer that is able to process 10,000 transactions at a time, you've already purchased that hardware, right? And you're not able to make changes to that. It's already there. It's always there. Even if it's 2 transactions, 3 transactions, that system that you've bought is there. So that cost of 10,000 transactions keep coming in every time. But with cloud, you're able to say, oh, this week we're going to scale up, next week we're scaling down, and that is definitely going to reduce your cost. And that brings us to cost effectiveness. If you tell me that cloud computing allows me to take control and scale up or down, it means I'm able to manage my resources. I'm able to cut down my cost when I do need to. So you only pay for what you use on a cloud platform. And thirdly, it's flexibility. Obviously, it allows you to adapt to changes quickly as the need may be. Now, moving on to some disadvantages. With everything you do have, there are definitely going to be disadvantages. Number one is cost management complexity. It's not really easy for you to manage your costs, unexpected charges from poor resource monitoring. So, for example, this session we're having right now would have loved to take you through every single thing we've done. But immediately after the course was produced, we need to pause certain resources because those resources are going to continue to incur certain costs. And I'm sure you also have learned that with everything you do as a machine learning engineer, as a data engineer, as an Azure specialist, you need to ensure that when a resource is not being used, you off it. It's just like you making a call, okay? Possibly on MTN or on Airtel, you make a call, 3 minutes call, and immediately you're done, you leave your phone, you do not press the red button. What happens? You keep being charged because you're still using those resources. That's exactly what happens. So if you're not knowledgeable enough to be able to pause resources when you need to, stop resources, delete resources, definitely you're going to be paying for what you do not need. There's a downtime risk as well. What do we refer to as downtime risk? It means if Microsoft is to go down today, if you're on Azure, it means you're down. But what's the probability of Microsoft going down compared to your laptop going down? Your laptop could go down immediately. Your daughter, your favorite sister pours hot chocolate on your laptop. You're done. However, if anything happens to one data center, Microsoft data center, they have multiple data centers across the world to make use of. If, let's say, for example, a particular continent is down, let's say the whole of Asia, there's something broke out in the whole of Asia, the systems there cannot be reached. Microsoft has other data centers in Africa, in Europe, so they're able to, all your data is still safe. So you can see that it's better I bet my life on a cloud platform, bet my life's work, my startup, my company, my work on a cloud than on a local computer. And lastly is the vendor lock-in, which is the scariest of all, right? Possibly you started with Azure. As time goes on, your company decides, oh no, we are downing all our resources. Everything moves back to AWS. It's not really easy for you to make that move, take off all your compute clusters. You know that with your compute clusters, you might have done some configurations. If you're using a data factory on Azure, you might have certain pools that have certain installations on them. Now you have to move all of those pools back to AWS. You need to start to learn about Elastic Beanstalk. You need to start learning about S3 buckets, which you are already used to Azure Blob Storage. Now there's something called S3 buckets. There is the compute clusters. Now they're telling you there's the Elastic Beanstalk. So these are things that it's not really easy for you to move from one cloud platform to another cloud platform. And those are just the basic disadvantages of cloud computing. But with these disadvantages, if you're knowledgeable enough, all of this are going to be taken care of by your experience. And then the types of cloud computing, we have basically three types of cloud computing. Number one is public cloud, number two is a private cloud, and lastly, we have the hybrid cloud. With the public cloud, it's as if I, as a person, decide to rent a house, like we explained in our class. I decide to rent an apartment in a big building. It means there are many tenants in that building, but I do have my space, which is owned by me. It's a space where I take charge of, where I take control of, where I pay for, and everything that happens in that apartment happens to me. However, the moment I step out of my room, there are other people that are in different apartments as well. So that's exactly what public cloud is. It's just like you're going onto Azure platform, pulling what you need, making use of the resource you need, and then leaving everything back there. So resources are shared and available to everyone. Examples are our AWS, our IBM Cloud, our Oracle, our Azure, our Oracle, and all of that. And we also have the private cloud. The private cloud is basically used by organizations. You use private cloud when you deal with sensitive information, when you deal with people's lives, you deal with security, you deal with anything that has to do with international organizations, anything that has to be really, really, really secured, you decide to use a private cloud so that that whole storage and everything is domiciled in your building. It's domiciled maybe underground somewhere, but you take charge, you take control of everything that happens. You only decide to go for this when you prioritize security for your business. And lastly is the hybrid cloud. this is the most sweetest part of it all. You're able to combine the private cloud and the public cloud. As an Azure machine learning expert, you should be able to know, when do I leverage on any of this? Am I to just go Azure fully, or am I going to make use of a server in my company and decide to use only the blob storage that Azure provides? That's your decision to make. And the company is going to listen to you. You are the expert. So hybrid cloud allows you to take charge and then bring these two together to make use of. Now that brings us to Azure itself. What are the different Azure services that we have? We can categorize those services into many sections. However, we're going to be having four. Number one is the Azure Storage Services. We also have the Integration and Management Service. Then we have the Compute Service, and we have, lastly, the AI and Machine Learning Service. The storage service, what is it about? So this is the component of Azure that stores your files. So we have three basic types of storage. You have the Azure Storage Account. We have the size. Azure Storage Account is where everything happens, right? It's that account where you have different files stored in. Then we have two different types of file storage, which is the blob storage and the Azure files. A blob is basically just a normal file you upload. However, on Azure, it's saved as zeros and ones, binary, right? While Azure files those files are like your backups, more of maybe I'm backing up an operating systems, they are backed up as Azure files. That brings us then to integration and management services. Azure is not just for you to go and back up your pictures, your videos, your databases. No, it also allows you to perform integrations. You're able to build pipelines. You're able to perform, let me say executions. I'm able to make executions on Azure. Some of the services are the Azure Data Factory, where you're able to build ETL pipelines. You also have the SQL databases, where you're able to store data in SQL. You also have the Synapse Analytics. Synapse Analytics allows you to deal with big data that is coming in, the flow is just so high. You have the velocity, you have the all the three V's that you have, the volume and all of that. So you have big data coming in. You do not make use of Data Factory to handle that. You make use of Synapse Analytics. So as anybody working with cloud, you do not just make use of any resource as you like, because different resources the costs are different as well. Azure Synapse Analytics costs way is more costlier than Azure Data Factory, because Data Factory is for simple integration tasks, and then you decide to use Synapse for a 1+1 task, then definitely you're going to be charged much more than you should be charged. That brings us to compute services as well. So what are compute services? We've learned about storage, we've learned about integration. Now compute. Compute is your processor. They are your brains, the brains of the whole Azure ecosystem. So we have the virtual machine, which is definitely just like your local machine, but it's on the cloud. You have the app service, which allows you to host applications on the cloud. You also have the Kubernetes that allows you to perform integration tasks as well. And lastly, that brings us to the bone of contention today, which is our AI and machine learning services. This world we are in now, we're in the AI and ML world. And what exactly enables us to also catch up? These are services like the Azure Machine Learning Service, because you're able to build machine learning model. It shouldn't stay on your system like you normally do with your Jupyter Notebook, where your model is always on your laptop. Now, Azure Machine Learning allows you to build that model, have it on the cloud, and you're able to make it go live so that people can make use of it using your real-time inference pipelines or your batch inference pipelines. And you have the cognitive services, and these are services that has to do with anything AI, microservices. These services are all referred to as cognitive services. And then with Azure's cloud services, we're not going to be deep diving into Azure Machine Learning. Azure Machine Learning is a cloud-based platform that helps you to streamline the creation, the training, the deployment, and the management of machine learning models. So you can see that this takes into consideration the whole process: creation, training, deployment, and management of that machine learning model. It also provides you a unified workspace for end-to-end machine learning workflows, from data preparation to model deployment and monitoring. And Azure Machine Learning has all of these different tools in it. You can make use of Python, you can make use of TensorFlow like we've done with deep learning. You make use of PyTorch as well. You make use of scikit-learn, R, and .NET services. Some of this we have touched throughout the series of our course. Now, an overview of Azure Machine Learning, as I would love us to jump right into Azure and then do some technical things up there. We have the workspace. The workspace is our Azure Machine Learning workspace itself. It's that space that we create for ourselves. Remember, we said the Azure system is a public is part of the public type of cloud system, right? It means I'm able to take a space and then another person takes a space. So when you say this is my Azure Machine Learning workspace, it means this is my own apartment where I'm able to run my machine learning models. That's the workspace. The workspace cannot work on its own. Then we have different things. Number one is your linked services. It means your workspace is able to connect to other services using what we call the linked service. Then we have your managed resources. Your managed resources are the brains of your workspace. Examples are your compute clusters and your compute instances. Then you have your dependencies. Is Azure Workspace able to configure itself? No. When you have an apartment, you need to get a bed, possibly a chair. You have to ensure that you have a window. That's where your dependencies come in. When you're trying to create a workspace, you're going to see all of this. You need the storage, you need the container registry, you need the key vault, and you need your app insights. Then what are the different assets? If I'm inside the workspace now, I'm inside my apartment, what are the different assets I can make use of? Now I can watch TV, for example. That's exactly the same thing as assets. So you're in your workspace, you have access to environments, you have access to experiments, pipelines, data sets, models, and your endpoints. With this, we have a general understanding of what Azure ML is and what cloud computing is. Before we jump into Azure to open an account, create an Azure Machine Learning workspace, and have an overview of the other aspects that we've learned, I'd like to know if there are certain questions that I would like to ask before we proceed. Any questions from anyone? If there are no questions, I would be asking my own questions. Hello, is anybody following? I would like to see your thumbs up. So,
Hi.
yeah, I can see Sophia Akintayo. Yeah, I can see that Ezekiel is following.
Hi.
Yes,
Good evening.
no. Yes, hello.
Yeah. Thank you for all the lessons. In fact, I really enjoy all your um videos and I'm really following through.
Awesome, awesome. That's good to know, Sophia. Do you have particular questions or you're fine
But
for now?
I really don't I got
Your voice is now
confused.
breaking, Sophia. Can
I
you take
found
it
it I
again?
find it difficult to marry. Okay,
Okay.
I find it difficult sometimes to marry that Python Jupyter notebook. How we connect
Mm,
that Jupyter notebook to Azure? It's still
mm.
confusing to me. So I don't know
Awesome. Beautiful.
whether you can whether you can
Yes.
whether you
Yes. We're going
can
to do
go
that
back to
together.
that again. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to do that together. That's when you start to do deep learning, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Perfect. I'm sure it might be with the login as well. Maybe you're not able to log in, you're having certain errors.
I really don't know how when we need to move to Jupyter and then when you need to connect the two together. So that is what I want
Okay.
to get clarification based on.
Okay. So before I jump into Azure, let me answer your question briefly, and we're going to also go through the technical part as well. So we're going to connect on this session, we're going to connect our Jupyter Notebook to a new Azure Machine Learning workspace from scratch. Does that make you happy?
Okay, yes, sir.
Powerful. So basically, you asked how exactly, when do you know that, oh, now I have to move to Jupyter Notebook, or no, I need to keep using my Azure Machine Learning Workspace. So this is it, right? Your machine learning workspace gives you certain tools. So all the code that you need is bundled up. You remember when you're using the machine learning designer, you just drag your import data, then you click on it, then you import your data. Then you want to select certain columns, and you drag one guy and then keep it, and it selects columns. But had it been you're using Python, you would have said pandas dot so and so, pd dot read CSV and all of that thing. So they've taken care of that. But when it comes to deep learning, you have your own particular model that you want to run, because this is not easy task again. This is you trying to run deep learning models. So if you want to build a custom deep learning model, then you need to do it on your Jupyter Notebook where you write your code yourself. And that was why in our class, we have our code that we've written ourselves. You understand? So we kind of customize what we want Azure to run for us. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Great, great. So we're going to start by, are there any other questions, or we should proceed? Okay, so we'll be proceeding. We'll be creating an Azure account. I know some of you had difficulties doing that. Sorry, we'll be accessing an Azure portal. We won't be creating an account here. And then we're going to create an Azure Machine Learning workspace. We're going to have an overview of it, look at the designer, do one or two things on the designer. Then we move back into our deep learning aspect, where we're going to connect our Jupyter Notebook to the Azure Machine Learning Workspace, and then run certain things up there. Let me also share my screen once again. Okay, so can you see my screen? Okay, Shagun, thank you. So we'll be logging into an Azure portal. Yes, so here, this is how the Azure ecosystem looks. We're going to start by telling us briefly what we see. So this is where that public space that we said, public cloud that we said, this is your public cloud. This is that house rental that I always mentioned. So this is it. And then here we're not able to access different apartments as we do want to. So you have different types of resources. If you look into our all resources, we're able to see all the resources we have on this particular cloud storage space. On yours, you might just have a storage account, possibly an Azure ML workspace, and you'll not see most of these things. But if you have Azure ML workspace, you'll be seeing something like this bulb. You're going to see this guy. You're going to see this guy. We're going to also learn what these guys are. Definitely, if you have an account, you should also see this guy as well. That's your key vault. So we come back here, and this is where we see all our resources. This is what we call a resource group. When you try to make payments, your payment has to be tagged under a particular billing, right? So that's what we call a resource group. So all payments here allows us to access anything on the platform under this guy. So this is more like our big space where the payments is held upon. If there's no payment on this guy, then nothing happens on Azure. Coming back, you have your storage accounts. Like we mentioned, under storage services, your storage account is where you have access to different types of storage. It's just like your local disk drive on your computer. You have subscriptions. So if you make payments, your payment should be tagged to a particular name. Let's see if you have payments on this account. Oh, yes, so we have payments. We've paid. We call our subscription name Deep Tech. This is our subscription ID. And then if we click on it, we're able to see more information about it. So if you do have limited privilege, you're going to see this, right? And then if you do have full access, you're going to see even more deeper analytics than what you see right now. So here, looking at this, when you have a cloud platform, it's not just about running your pipelines. You need to keep an eye on what you're paying for. Microsoft charges in dollars. You do not want to lose that your $10, multiply it by the current exchange rate. So imagine you have a pipeline running and you slept on a Friday night, you offed your laptop. Now you come back on a Monday night, 48 hours of a pipeline executing. That's, I don't know, $150, $200. Multiply that by 1.5 and you know how much you've lost in the span of 48 hours. So you come under your subscriptions to see what exactly do I have under me? Am I sure I want to be paying for these things that I have? 3 storage accounts. Do I really need 3 storage accounts? What am I storing? If you do need it, fine. If you don't, take care of the other 2 and keep only one. Key vault. These are just storing your keys, nothing really special. Registry was created when you created the Azure Machine Learning Workspace. This was created for you. This you do not have an issue with. Your workspace, that's the Azure Machine Learning Workspace that I have here. I have 2 workspaces running right now on my cloud. Yours, you should have one. If you have more than one, there's a problem. Then you have components. If you have certain components, as well, you're going to see them here. So this gives you an overview of everything regarding things that you're paying for. You're also able to see the security and access certain keys if you do want to, but that's all about your subscription. So coming back home, you're able to manage your cost here. If you feel you're being charged for what you're not supposed to be charged for, if you have the privilege, you're going to be seeing what each and everything costs right on this page. Let's just wait for it to load. This should take about just a few seconds and we're there. Powerful. So here, you're able to analyze and optimize your cloud cost. So you can see that Microsoft does not just want to eat your money. It actually wants you to take charge of and control of what you're paying for. If you want to see analytics, if you have access to it, if you created the account yourself, you should be able to have your cost analysis right here, and you can export that as well. So we'll go back. The quick start center, like I said during the sessions, is where you're able to learn more things. The things that we learned with the whole Azure machine learning course is 1 of 100 of what you can use the cloud for. So you can always click here to learn more. The Azure AI Foundry was added. It's your AI center where you do a whole lot of AI things and you make use of cognitive services. And then there are a whole lot more that you have here. So to create a resource, you click on the plus button. And here you have access to every resource that Azure could provide. Those resources are also categorized into different categories so that you're able to easily access what you are interested in. If you're interested in AI machine learning, which is what we're interested in, you should find yourself here. If you find yourself here under blockchain, you're wrong. You're not doing Ethereum, Bitcoins, and all of that. So basically, it's categorized different things for you based on what you need. Our interest is in AI and machine learning, so I'll click on this one. And here we should be able to see our Azure machine learning here, right? I'll click on this one. So I'm trying to create an Azure machine learning workspace on the cloud. So I'm going to click on it. It's going to load and I have this page. Now, before I create an account, another question goes to every participant in this session. If no answers come in, I'm going to be calling on names. You know, during the session, you were only seeing my video, you watched. This session, it's me and you in a classroom. So I'm going to be calling names. Can anybody tell me if they had difficulties creating an Azure machine learning workspace? Was it difficult to create?
Good afternoon. As for me, I don't have any difficulties there.
Awesome. It's good to know Muhammad Abdurrafil. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir.
Good
Yes,
afternoon. Same as
Mr.
I too.
Isa.
I don't have any difficulty. I
Okay,
said
I
same
had a
as
lot
I.
of
Good afternoon.
difficulty opening the account. I
Okay, so
wanted
I'm
to
going to
use
take
my
apologies, Mr. Isa. I'm going to take Mr. Makinde and I'll come right back to you.
no problem, sir.
Makinde Samuel, please proceed.
Oh, good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, I actually said I don't have any difficulties as regards registering the Azure machine learning stuff.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you very much. Mr. Isa?
Okay, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, Isa. Now you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly, Babali.
Okay, I had a lot of difficulties with registering
Oh,
because
wow.
it wasn't accepting Nigerian card. Most of the card I used didn't work.
Hmm.
I had to look for my brother to use his dollar account to register for the Azure ML account to open the account. And
So
a
it
lot of
later
people,
worked. Okay.
yes, it worked when I used his dollar account.
Okay. Okay. So
But with
that's
Nigerian account, it wasn't
the
working.
Nigerian
So
card, it
this
wasn't
one was
working. So
correct.
that's some of the issues that we face. So the honest truth, this is to all participants is that, being in Nigeria alone, you're already at a disadvantage because there are a lot of things that are going on out there that we do not even have access to. Because of your country self, you might be banned. There are many tools that I do want to use. I have to use a VPN. And that VPN is going to say I'm in London, and whereas I'm somewhere in Nigeria, maybe in Abuja, in Lagos, in Kaduna, depends, right? We're already at a disadvantage. And then, with the whole issue around fraud and everything, we do ourselves now, Nigerians. So it's led to the federal government banning a whole lot of international transactions happening. And since then, we've been having difficulties using our own local cards, even if it's a MasterCard, but if it's Naira, it's not going to work. Some work, right? But typically it does not work. So you have to get yourself a dollar card. My advice is always GT Bank dollar cards work like magic. I don't know, Isa, if you use GT Bank. Hello, Isa?
Yes, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, what bank was it, your dollar card?
No, we created a virtual dollar account.
Okay, virtual one. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
also we noticed that with cheaper cash virtual card, it does not work again. Initially, before it does, I don't know, it does not really work now. Gray card, some work, some do not work. So you have to go through that extra mile to get yourself a dollar account, be it a physical, our normal microfinance banks here, our financial institutions, Zenith, GT, but it has to be a dollar card. So apologies for that, everyone, but it's just something you need to do to up your game as well. So I'm sure immediately you do have access to Azure, then creating an Azure machine learning workspace would not be hard for you. The first thing is that you need to have a subscription. If you do not have a subscription, you wouldn't be allowed to have this. But if you do have the $200 credit, you'd be able to create this resource. Yes, Mike Indy. Mike Indy, you raised your hand. Okay. So you need a subscription. If you are given the $200 credit, then you should be able to make use of that as well. After that, you choose a resource group, which you should have. If you do not have, you would definitely have for you to be here. Then you give your Azure Machine Learning workspace a name. Can anybody drop a name that they love, they would want a machine learning workspace to be called? Just type it, anything. Is anybody typing? Just type any name so that we use that name across. Sophia, type a name. That name is going to be used in your Jupyter notebook. Okay, so I'm going to be going with something. So I'm just going to call it Azure ML Workspace. Okay, and then the region, you could always select any of those regions. East US is mostly used for some reason. And then immediately you select this, you should have an auto-populated storage account, a key vault, and an app insight for you. These are necessary. You can't skip them. The app insight allows you to monitor everything that is happening on your workspace. With the container registry, you don't need to create one. If the system or whatsoever you're running needs it, it's going to automatically create itself. Do not review and create instantly for any resource, please. For any resource on Azure, don't just fill in the basics and create. There are instances, most especially when you're using databases, where you go and create a big database that you do not need, and you start to be charged $44 instead of you being charged 0.008 cents, for example. So go to next, look at everything. Like I told you, you do not need to touch anything here. access, allow all networks to access it. If you have private endpoints that you want, you can add them here. And then next, your outbound access, leave it as public. You do not need to do any configurations here. Encryption should be left as it is as well. Identity should also be left as it is. Your credential-based access allows you to do all that you need. Your tags are also going to be empty, and then you go and review everything that you have. Under this review page, I pay my attention to the review where I'm able to see everything that I've selected so that I do not buy what I do not want to use. So you go ahead to create. This should take about 1 minute to create. Immediately it's done deploying, then you can launch your machine learning workspace. Great. So now you have your deployment still in progress, but you can see that we have our checklist completed. So it means everything is fine and our deployment should be successful without any hitches. But let's find out. Great. So we just successfully created an Azure Machine Learning workspace. And to go to resource, to see what we've created, I'll click on go to resource and I'm going to launch. So while I'm here, I've seen everything. I'm just going to click on launch. This should bring me to a new page where I'm inside the room where machine learning happens, automated machine learning happens. Great. I'm sure everybody is now familiar with this page. When you wake up in the morning and they say Azure ML, this page pops up in your face. So this is where everything happens. This page is just where you have a bull's eye view or eagle eye view of everything that you can access on the workspace. Then you have your model catalog where you have a catalog of models that you can make use of. As new models are coming out, you're going to be seeing them here. GPT model, you find them here. New models are going to always be here for you to use. So do not limit yourself to what you've learned in class. Please challenge yourself to go further, go deeper, and land that big job that you've always wanted to land. Now, the notebooks, like Sophia mentioned that she does not know when she's to move from Azure ML to her Jupyter notebook. So Azure Machine Learning Workspace also has a notebook for you here where you can create your notebook just like your Jupyter notebook. Basically, you can also make use of VS Code here. You click the plus button, it creates a new file, give it a name. You can see that your Jupyter notebook, the extension is .ipynb, right? So if I call this my notebook and I say it should create, then I would have a notebook for myself. I'm sure in one of the videos we made use of this to test out some endpoints ourselves. So this is how Jupyter Notebook looks like, and they are able to use your Markdown. Your Google Colab and Jupyter Notebook looks like this, your Markdown and your code. So you can make use of this notebook as well. Automated ML is where you make use of ML models that has been completely finished. It's just like if I come down to my designer, it's still me taking white rice from the market, then buying pepper and then mixing everything. But with automated ML, you just go there and just select, I want jollof rice or I want a pounded yam fully built. So you come here, you choose what type of training model you want to make use of, and then you select any of them to use. If I come back here and I say train automatically, I select this and I say start configuring the job. It's going to bring out a page where I select the task that I want to do. So the deep learning we built from scratch can also be done here, but you don't have that ability to you yourself configure it the way you want. You give the job a name, I'll leave this name, give it an experiment name like we've always done, and then I'll just say next. And here I'm able to select the task type. So do I want to do a classification task or a regression task that takes in dependent and independent variables? Time series forecasting, where I have data that has been happening for years, and then there's that time part of it that happens. So it means I have data from 1920, 1820, 1830. I'm doing time series analysis. Then you make use of time series forecasting. We did NLP as well, natural language processing. You can just select them. So these are more of, they are bundled up, but you do not have the ability to say this, maybe I want to clean this column, clean that column, use a normalization technique on this column. You know, those things that you're able to just pull a component and use, you cannot do it here. So you now select, is it a multi-class classification, multi-label classification? So these are the only three you have access to. If you want to do anything outside of this, then you have to do it on Jupyter Notebook yourself. Immediately you do this, you click on create. It's going to create that task for you. If you have data sets, you'll be use your data asset created here, and then you're able to make use of it. So if you do follow our class, you should be able to complete this without any issue. Compute is where you select the machine that is going to run everything that you have in mind. And coming down to the designer, this is what we use mostly in our first three videos, right? Where we build different pipelines using this. So you can build a custom pipeline from scratch, but use your classic pre-built pipelines. So here you have access to different components that you can make use of to build a model, deploy that model, and your company can make use of that model straightforward. So here you have sample data sets, you have transformation tools, you have computer vision tools, you have your data model algorithms. 19, I believe when we did this video, I do not think the machine learning models we have here were up to 19. There's an assignment for you, go and check. Back in our videos, was this 19? I doubt it. So it means Microsoft keeps updating. You would have different models. A year from now, you're going to have many more models pushed in here. So like that, these are the different things you can do. And one thing you'd notice with every cloud platform is they try to categorize things for you. All of this could just be put here, but they categorize it so that it's easy for you to find, so that things are easier for you. Prompt flow, here, you do not really need this now. I'm not going to spend too much time here. We didn't cover it as well, but you can always learn about the prompt flow. It's also easy to make use of. Then you have your assets. Like we showed in our structure of Azure ML, we said there are assets, which is your data. This is where your data is stored. Your jobs are the running pipelines. If you say execute this, that executions happen somewhere. We call it a job. Then we have components. If you have certain components, you're going to show here. Pipelines, you have pipelines, your jobs that are running, you're going to see them as pipelines. While it's executing, it's a job. When you see it completed, a pipeline, you're going to see it. You have environments. If you want to create environments, we created environments when we're doing machine learning, deep learning, and time series. So when you see some of the things I'm showing here, you might be familiar with some of them. So these are your environments. The models, we took care of the models we created. If not, you would have seen the models we all created. So when you create a model, you can store your model here. So it can be a custom model. I can call it Sophia model, Ezekiel model, Samuel model, depending on what model you have. Endpoints are your URLs, your APIs. So if you create a machine learning model, you have completely hosted it using your real-time inference pipeline or your batch inference pipeline. You're going to have a URL, and that URL is what you have under endpoints. Coming down to our managed resources, we have the compute, which is our machine, the brain. We can monitor whatsoever is going on. We have data labeling linked services, which allows you to link between Azure Machine Learning to other services on Azure. I have connections. They do similar things, but just a little bit different. So we're going to come back home, and I'm going to ask you all now, what exactly do we create first when we start off on our Azure Machine Learning Workspace? What's the first thing that you normally create? Anybody? I want to see hands. We have 55 participants. Lovely. I want to see hands flying. What's the first thing that you always created? When I give you assignments, you create something first. What is it? When we started our class, we always create something first. Always. What exactly is it? Shalom, am I allowed to call on names? A resource group. Powerful, lovely. Yes, but that's when you are on Azure itself. Now you are in the ML workspace. Somebody said pipeline. Interesting answers. That's good to hear, but no, we are not there yet. So it's like you guys want to jump into the pipelines and forgetting that the pipeline has to run under something. There's something, the brain, compute resource. See, if you're Lua, please look for me. I have a gift for you. Modu, God bless you. Exactly. You need to build you need to have a compute cluster. It's as if you want to give a job to somebody that does not have a brain. You should expect the worst. So you always create a compute cluster. What's a compute cluster? It's that brain that is going to run all these your pipelines. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to come down to compute. Yes, so I'm going to create a compute cluster. Do I have a compute cluster here? No, because we just created this. So I'm going to say new. We're creating a brain now. We're going to give that brain a name. Should it be dedicated or low priority? It's dedicated. CPU or GPU? Make use of GPU when you're doing deep learning, when you're doing large tasks. But because you want to run one Python script and you go and use GPU, your money is gone. Dollars going on 1+1. That's what it means. So I'm going to use a CPU compute cluster. Here, you select what you should be charged for. Some of you, I notice you all are just going to start clicking anything that the computer has already selected. Like now, this one has been selected. You just go and click continue. If you do continue on a company account, and they later find another Azure machine learning expert or engineer, they will send you away. It's total, Mr. Man, come and be going. You've wasted a whole lot of dollars. So you check the cost. Everything is about cost. This has 6 cores. This has 4 cores. It means this has 6 different brains that I can make use of. This has 4. Since this is a live class and what's his name? Makinde, if you're Lua, Tosin are not going to pay me. Zainab is not paying me specially for this. I'm going to say, let me go for the cheap one. So I'm going for the one with 4 cores. So everything you do, there should be a reason why you're doing it. The compute name, what name should I give it? Let me give it live underscore class underscore compute underscore cluster. Let's see, not accepted. So I'm going to change this to hyphen, and hyphen. Are we good now? Okay, Azure says we're good. Minimum number of nodes, minimum number of brain cells you should have. I'm sticking to 1 because I'm not really doing anything technical today. If I am, I might say 3, I might say 5 or 10 if I'm doing really deep learning stuff, but I just need 1. Seconds, it should be idle before it goes down. 120 seconds is fine. And then I'm going to say create. Sorry about your network, Sophia, but as an engineer, you need to go and get yourself 5G. Get MTN 5G, get Airtel 5G. Network should be none of your problems. So it's creating. I'm going to keep refreshing. I can't wait for this to conclude. Powerful. So now we have our compute cluster. Interesting. Our brain is ready. Now I can now say I have a brain on my computer, on my workspace. What do I want to do? Am I doing deep learning, NLP, time series forecasting, or just basic data cleaning? Or I just want to build a simple linear regression model? Then when you answer that question, you come back to your designer. So you can decide that you want to use AutoML for a linear regression task. But I'm using the designer because it's difficult, right? It's better you learn the difficult things than not just the click and go. So this is our designer. This is where we create our pipelines. What do we do first? It's always about having a data set. So it's either you use any of the sample data sets provided for you here. There are 16 of them. No additions have been made. I'm sure when we did the class, it was 16 as well. If you now want a particular data set from your own side, you have a data you want to import, you make use of the component we call the import dataset component. So this is I'm going to pull this onto my canvas. And I can now make use of this to import a data set. But if I want to use a data set provided by Microsoft, I can go down under components and I'll go down to sample data. Let me cancel this. Sample data, and I'm able to pick a data set here. Now, most of you might have wondered what this data part is. It's for you to register data sets here so that you're able to use them as you may deem fit. In the sessions, we did not make use of this. We make use of data stores. So here, if you say plus and you create a data assets bar, you're going to be seeing it here all the time so that when you, just like you're able to pick this data set, you can come here and just pick that data set that you want. So I've dragged and dropped import data set here, but I'm not going to make use of it. I'll start by using our automobile data sets. So from the second video, our second session, we worked with this a whole lot. Things that we can do, we can select particular columns from a data set. We can edit the metadata, pull data from a URL, pull data just anywhere we want. We're able to do that, right? Using our import data. But when I have this here, I can preview the data set to see what it looks like. So this is how my data looks like. I'm going to be using a few components and I'm going to jump right into Sophia's problem of connecting deep learning models to Azure before we take questions. So with this now, I have how many rows? 205 rows and 26 columns. Now the classwork that all of us are going to be doing is to select only 3 columns from this data set. To achieve that, we're going to say, what did I just say? I said select 3 columns. From the word select, let me just search for select. I was asked to select something. Select, so I'm going to look, okay, this is filter-based feature selection, no. Select columns transform, no. Select columns in data set. That sounds like what we want to do. Then we pull and drag and drop. Now we've dragged and dropped this on here. What's the next thing to do? Another question. What should I do? Anybody? They said I should rename our pipeline first. Beautiful observation. So I'm going to rename this. What should we call it? Module. So let me call it live class pipeline. See, module, I also have a gift for you. Just look for me as well. So what's the next thing that we should do? Rename the pipeline where we've done that, Oluwakemi. Then you join them. Makinde said I should connect them. Yes, so I'm going to connect them so that they can communicate with one another. The moment I join them, I'm not going to configure and submit. I have to select and tell it what exactly do I want to, what columns am I interested in. So I've double clicked. I'm going to now click on this to select certain columns. So I'm going to say, am I selecting by column name or by name? Let me just do by name so that I can see the list here. I'm going to just pull symboling. I'm going to pull length and I'm going to pull price. Great. So I'm going to say save. What other settings do I need to touch? Nothing really, because this is a simple component for you to select certain columns. If you need more information, you can always come here and then you can always click on the link here to learn more about it, just like we've seen in our session. So with this now, I've configured this simple pipeline. Then I can run it. So I'm going to click on configure and submit. What's the next thing for us to do here? Are we selecting an existing experiment or we're creating a new one? Anybody? Let me see a show of hands. A new one, Modu. Is there a reason why we should do that, Modu? Are you in a place where you can speak? I really want to hear your voice, Kaomi. Anyone, Oluwakemi, Modu, is there a reason why you said we should go with a new one? Sophia is raising her hand. Sophia, please proceed. Sophia, the floor is yours. Okay, Sophia has not said anything, so I'm giving the mic back to Oluwakemi. Oluwakemi, please shoot. Oh, Oluwakemi is not able to unmute, so should I unmute? Let me try and unmute you. Shalom, I need help. I really want to hear from them. Okay.
Okay. Well done, sir. Good evening,
Good
sir.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Good evening too.
Okay. I think it's better we select a new experience because we've not created one before. And
Bless
apart
you.
from the fact that we didn't create one, since this is the first experience we'll be having for this particular pipeline, it's better
Workspace,
to
yes.
create a new one.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm trying to look for the clapping emoji to clap for you, but I'm just going to clap for you so you hear my hands clap. Thank you so much. And she has really answered the question perfectly. Two scenarios. You do not select a new an existing one because you do not really have an existing experiment. And this is a new workspace that we have. So we're going to create a new one. New one, I'm going to call this this is Oluwakemi experiment. This is my gift to you. I'm naming this because Oluwakemi answered the question. So this is going to be EXP. And this is happening under our live class pipeline. That's fine. Then we come back to input and output. We do not really have any custom input and outputs. Runtime settings, very important. This is where you select the brain you created. So we select what we've created here. And with this, we should be able to review. Everything should work fine and we should be able to submit. So why we're not going to be creating a whole lot of pipelines is because you do know that for the pipelines to even run, it takes time. We do not have all day. And I want to go to the more technical part. I can see that you all understand this part and it's so lovely and beautiful to see engineers, showing their talents here. So I'm going to click on view details. Now, under view details, you're able to see detailed information about your pipelines. As it's running, you're seeing it. If it fails, you would check and see why it fails. So this is running, this does not really take time because the data set is already on the system. It's on Azure already. So it's selecting those specific columns for you. The moment it's done, you'll be able to see your results. Right now, no results for us, but it's going to take just a few seconds. So let me pause and see. If it was on the live session, you guys are not going to stay like this because we normally pause, DSN is doing the cutting, you do not wait. But in this live session, it's me and you people here. We'll wait until the pipeline concludes. So as this is going on, I don't know, do we have any questions before we jump into Jupyter Notebook? I want to entertain any questions that have to do with your designer. Please ask those questions now. Oluwakemi said she doesn't know how to share her URL. Do you mean, can you speak? If you can speak so that I understand the URL you're referring to. Is it the endpoint?
Yeah, I like the assignment. We're supposed to submit the URL for the cluster for the after doing the machine learning after getting our result or something
Yes.
like that. So we're supposed to submit the URL. So I've been wondering where to get the URL to submit, whether to copy the URL on the what's it called, the search bar, the um web search bar. I don't
Yeah,
know.
where the search bar is. Now, if you share the search bar, because of security, nobody's going to be able to access it. So best thing is you screenshot everything you've done. After you screenshot, it's when you get to the point of endpoints. Are you talking about the assignment where you have to have an endpoint here? Were you able to
Oh,
get a real-time endpoint? If you're
I
able to get
didn't.
a real-time endpoint, you know that endpoint, if I click on it, then I should be able to make use of your machine learning model, right? So that's the
Oh,
one you submit a URL.
okay, I didn't check the endpoint because I didn't see anything in the video that relates to the endpoint.
Oh, I think possibly you've not really gotten there. But have you completed the whole series?
Yes, I've done everything. I've done to the just that I'm trying to arrange the whole thing because the result I'm getting from the assignment data is not
Yeah.
giving me good results that I think it's okay.
Oh,
And
awesome. So you want to retry different tricks to
I've
get
been
what you want.
returning. Yes, sir.
No, okay, that's fine. So I believe there's an endpoint part where you're able to get an endpoint. If you do get that, you submit an endpoint. But if you don't, you screenshot your workspace and you share. But I'm sure Shalom is going to give you more insight on some business assignments. Madam Shalom, would you like to come in here?
I'm sure your content, the PDF sent to you for your class had instructions on how to submit. So follow the instructions and you can, if the question is asking for a URL, you can paste your URL and in a file and submit through our assignment submission form and you can make the submission. I hope this
Okay.
clarifies any.
Yeah, I think Oluwakemi, if you do have if you've done all that is requested of the assignment, just speak to your teaching instructor so that they can help you. Yeah, so Isabel, Babele, you have a question. Let me just take that while I think our pipeline has completed. Exactly. So let me take your question and we'll proceed. Before Babele comes up, Adele, yeah, I'm not sure if I pronounce it well, apologies. So please, after working on a data set, what can we do so that the dollars won't get finished on time? Powerful question, Adele. One thing you can do is because you are learning, when you're learning, you cannot leave everything forever. But one thing you can do to save yourself, to be able to reference what you've done before, is screen record. If you've built something, right, you need to delete it after you're done. After you submitted your assignment, they've graded it, you're done, delete everything. But before you delete, screen record the process. You can start by saying, oh, you have your screen record on. So I have my data here. Next, I created this, I created that, so that you can store that video somewhere. If you saw that video somewhere, you're able to make reference to it at a later time and you delete all the resources that you have when you're learning. But when you're working with a company, the company already knows that they need to pay for Azure services. So you're going to be using a company account. Just like we're making use of DSN's account, right? DSN's account has been up and live for who knows when, because DSN knows that, yes, we're using Azure and I need to make payments for those things that we're making use of. So now that you're using your own money, just delete everything, but ensure you have a record of what you've done so that you can make reference to it at a later time. Another question says, I couldn't deploy the model as well. If anybody could not deploy a model at a junction where we learned about deploying models, please get the specific error you're getting, screenshot your error, copy your error, share with your instructor. If need be, it could be shared with us so that we can work on it to see where your problem lies. So always learn to read the errors, copy the errors, share the errors with even your colleagues to see if anybody can help you. If anybody was able to deploy, hold them tight until you're able to learn to deploy as well. Issa said I have to unmute them.
Okay, hello, sir. Thank you, sir. Can I speak, sir?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, sir, I worked on the assignment you gave us. That is it, Angel Estate Building. Yeah, I tried. I've uploaded the image of my R squared. I couldn't reach 60. I tried the four models. I even normalized them, but I couldn't reach 60. So I decided to use Scikit-learn, Jupyter Notebook, not Azure.
Yeah.
I used random forest. I was able to get 80 something. So I was asking, is there a difference between Azure the machine learning in there and the one
Yes.
in Jupyter Notebook? Is there any difference?
Exactly. I love this point, Isa. So this is what happens. And it also boils down to Sophia's question as well, that when do I move to a local solution and when do I make use of Azure? So Azure has combined everything. There are particular metrics that you'll not be able to tamper with on Azure. But on your local machine, you're able to tamper with particular metrics that might yield the result you want. So if a data set Azure does not give you the best you want, you can now use that notebook that you have, you can now launch it on Azure so that Azure uses your own custom built model to give you your results. It means Azure's pre-compiled random forest will not give me what I need, but mine custom one, I built it on my computer, works. So you now integrate it just like we did in deep learning class, where we run a notebook, but it's running on Azure. So those are scenarios where you switch in between. But with the 60 with the result accuracy you have now, you can always submit your assignment. You've done the job as needs be, and you've gone a step further to validate your work. I think that's an awesome approach, Isa. I don't know if this answers your question. Guys still need to unmute you. Okay. Yeah, Isa.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Ayola. You have your hands raised. Ayo, let me unmute you. You can now speak.
Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Mr. Ayo.
Thank you very much for today's section. I'm really learning a bit. Like a lot of my colleagues, I've also been finding it very difficult to subscribe to Azure, and the truth is, it has been discouraging, so to speak. Presently, I'm trying to get a new Mastercard, although Nigeria Mastercard. But now that you suggested a dollar Mastercard, I'll try to see if we can get that and really get this up and running. One question I want to ask is this: other than for deployment reasons, what advantage, like for a number of us now that are coming into this data science ML space for the first time,
yeah,
what advantage does Azure have over us deploying this model manually, either on a Anaconda, Jupyter Notebook, or Google Colab, other than the part of deployment? And then if our 1 month free subscription on Azure has expired, from what I read, we still have some free, I don't know how to call them, maybe services, but would we still be able to run ML model on it after the 1 month?
Okay. So first question about the card, Ayo. So I'm not sure if you were here when I explained, but it's something that we have to just overcome. I know it's not easy to get a dollar card. I know you have to have a certain amount. There's this regulations. You even have to bring, I think, 3 people with limited liability accounts and all of that to get a dollar card. But it's what you need to do to stand out. How many people actually know Azure? How many people know data engineering? How many people know Azure machine learning? They are not really much. So it's a space where people are not saturated, but this is the price we have to pay to get there. So I think we just need to, jump over that bridge. We cannot always have everything easily, but I know it's discouraging, but please just put in that extra effort, get the dollar card, try it, ensure it works so that when you are getting that, congratulations, you've been hired, you know that, yes, I paid my dues and I'm there. So apologies about the card. I wish DSN could do everybody is under the organization, but some people are going to leave pipelines running, which is going to cost us so much money, and that's why we're not going to give everybody an organizational access. So please, let's just try and work on the dollar card. With the next question you asked, Modu, I'm going to bring you up. The next question you asked was, why Azure? Why Azure? Why Azure? Why shouldn't I use my normal Jupyter notebook? Why should I jump to Azure? Apart from deployment, is there anything that Azure gives me? Yes, Azure gives you many things. Because in this session, we only learned about Azure machine learning, right? So your whole thinking would be around machine learning on Azure. But Azure has other integrations. We have the data factory where you're able to build pipelines where data is coming from another company. It comes through the pipeline. Your Azure machine learning model runs its own model, then the output is stored on another database, and that database is pushing to a Power BI dashboard. You know that we're learning to work for companies or build our own startups. These companies, this is the process that happens. And these processes do not happen. If it happens on your computer, Ayo, all the code is on your computer. Ayo, you're going to leave. If you're working with DSN, you're going to leave one day. If you're working with KPMG, you leave one day. Are you going to leave with everything? No. So there needs to be that cloud platform where everything runs. And if you do leave with your computer, nothing happens. Pipelines can be run at any time. And I also explained during this sessions that You use the cloud because you want everything to be automatically running on its own. You don't want to always wake up in the morning and click run, 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 run. So those are instances where you decide to use the cloud. So I myself at my organizations, I have close to, I think, 30 pipelines that run themselves. Imagine I have to wake up every day and I have to go and monitor and run 30 pipelines. It means my whole day, I won't have time to come to this live session. All I'll be doing is running and monitoring what pipeline completed and what did not complete. But we have it on Azure and we set a time for it that every 10 a.m. in the morning, it should run. So it runs every 10 a.m. And we just go there and we see our dashboard updated. If the dashboard does not update, that's the only time I go and check the pipeline. So these are reasons why you go for a cloud platform rather than using your local machine. Then regarding expiry, it's just like Ayo saying, oh, Mr. Mudathir, I want to eat my cake and have it. Sorry, Mr. Ayo, you cannot eat your cake and have it. If your $200 credit expires or you have some money in there and it expires, you're not going to be able to make use of certain resources. Like machine learning should not work typically. You can have access to see the data that you've already stored before, maybe on your blob storage, but a whole lot of things. The moment you click on create, it will tell you that you do not have subscription. The moment you cannot even create it. So at that junction, you're going to be, I wouldn't say logged out, but you won't be able to access the resource. But that's because you're using personal money to fund everything now. But when you work with companies, you have access. I can always wake up tomorrow and just pick up DSN accounts and do stuff for you guys to make use of without me thinking of payments and everything, because the organization takes care of it. So I hope this answered the 3 questions you asked. You can just drop in the chat if it does. Let me unmute you quickly and bring up Modu as well.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Great, and thank you so much, Mr. Ayo. Modu, the ground is yours. Yeah, please proceed.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
First of all, thank you for your efforts, sir. Thank you for everything. Seriously, I have been enjoying the class and I have learned a lot about Azure now.
Awesome.
The first thing that I want to contribute is that I use my Providos Naira Mastercard to register for Azure. So I
Yeah.
think those that they are facing problem, they may use that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Providos Naira Mastercard.
It worked. Awesome.
Yeah, it works for me. Secondly, my question is that I tried using Google Colab, but it's not working with Azure. Unlike Jupyter
Unlike
Notebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why is it that Google Colab is not working with Azure, unlike Jupyter Notebook? So I want
Yeah.
to know this one, sir.
Yeah, so many reasons, right? Because with Jupyter Notebook, you have, it's your local machine that is working, but Google Colab has certain restrictions. So Google Colab runs on the cloud. So when you put all the codes that you used for your session, if you put it on Colab and you run it, it's not going to work. However, even with your Jupyter Notebook, it might not even work if you do not have certain configurations on. The first issue you're going to have on Azure Google Colab is logging in, connecting Colab to Azure. That's the first issue you're going to have. It's going to be really difficult to have that connection. But once that connection is there, you can really, yeah, you can run it on there. But it's not really advisable. I would always advise for now. There are ways you can go about it, right? Module. But for now, I think you can stick to to Jupyter Notebook until you're able to master it. Then you can go the extra length to connect your Colab to Azure. There's also connection of Azure to your GitHub. All those things can happen, but it's more technical. I don't think you should spend most of your time on that right now. And then thank you so much for the insight on Providos. I think the team can explore and see if it works. Another thing is when you're entering your card details, that's where they ask you of the address. Use the address you use with your bank, not just a random address. If not, it might not work. I want to bring up Abrefil Muhammad. Yeah, Abrefil, the floor is yours. So while
Okay, we have a question. Sorry to
on the
cut you.
chat, yeah,
Oluwakemi asked the question, how do we
how to
delete
delete.
pipeline we don't want?
Yes, so we're going to now come back onto Azure now. This is a pipeline we've created. Let me come back here. So I'm coming back here. On our pipeline now, we've created this, and we said we selected certain columns. We only selected 3 columns. We're going to check the result to see what we've created. This is what we've created, and we only selected symbolic length and price. So you can see that your select columns in dataset works fine. Now, I want to come back home, and let's say I want to delete that pipeline that I do not need. I've run it, but I don't need it. Come down to your pipelines and see where is the pipeline. This is the pipeline. If this is the pipeline, you created it, you should be able to delete it. So what you're going to do is click on it, and up here, you're going to see delete. Can you see? It came up, but when these guys come up, it's down here. So I'm going to click on delete. Do I want to delete live class pipeline? I should type yes, and then I'm going to click delete. It should take us a few seconds. And one job successfully processed, close. If I come back down to my pipelines now, refresh. Let me see. Let me open this again. Can you see the job doesn't exist or has been deleted? So yeah, if I come down to pipelines, you might see it listed, but it's deleted. So it has completed and you do not have anything here. Does that answer your question? Next questions, please. Before we need to jump on Jupyter and create connections. So I'm going to take questions after we complete that whole process. Now we're going to jump onto Jupyter and we're going to be doing something you've not done before. I'm going to be searching for, number one, you have to have Anaconda installed on your computer, first requirement. Secondly, I'm going to just pull Anaconda prompts. This is just like your command prompts. And it's where I love to use this because I can just easily go to the folder that I'm interested in. So let me see. Can you see my screen? What can you see right now?
We can see your pipeline screen.
Okay, you can see a list of Jupyter notebooks.
No, it's on your pipeline section.
Oh, wow. Okay. I might need to reshare this. Maybe do this. I'll stop sharing and I'll share again. Now I want to share this guy. Share. So now you should be able to see my folder where I have the zipped file that you guys are making use of, where everything is compiled for you. And these are the different things that we made use of in our deep learning class, correct?
Yes, we can see that.
Powerful. So now I'm going to copy this link up here. I'll say Control C. And if I have to keep sharing, let me just share my entire screen. Then I'm going to come down to Anaconda prompts. Can you see Anaconda prompts? Can you see a black interface? No.
No.
Okay,
no,
fine.
we can't.
Okay. Share. Now you should be able to. Now I'm here. This is Anaconda prompts. And how did I get here? I just clicked on my menu and I searched for prompts. You will see Anaconda prompt. If you have Anaconda installed, open it. When you open it, I'm going to say cd space and I'll paste the link I copied. It means change directory to the folder that I want. I'll change directory. If I change directory, I'm here. I can now launch Jupyter Notebook on this directory. So I'm just going to say Jupyter space notebook and I click enter. The moment I do this, Jupyter Notebook will be launched and it will be launched on that particular folder so that I can make use or access it straightforward. So the moment this completes, it's going to push. So it has opened here. I just need to share the screen with you all. Let me do this. it's going to open on any of the browsers that you have, and you can click, I think there should be a link here that you can also click to access that particular Jupyter notebook. It should be somewhere here, but I'm just going to share my screen.
Okay.
So here, can you see that the same things that we saw on my local machine, this is what we're seeing on the hosted Jupyter notebook, right? Now I'm accessing this IPYNB file, and that's the file where we connected to Azure. This file, you should all have access to this. Now I'm here. When I run this, first things first on this whole notebook, we were supposed to conclude the class now. But first things first on this notebook is we connect to Azure, right? Using this guys here. So I'm going to run this. I'm just going to click on run. It will run. But when I get here, if not because I normally use my system, when I get here, it should not run. Let me see. Has this completed? Let me run this as well. I have this open on another Gmail. I want it on my personal Gmail. I'll take that again. I'll stop sharing it and I'll reshare it just in a minute. That was usually it's not to go. Yeah. So let me share the screen now. Yeah, so I prefer this opening where we're doing all our work before. So with this, I'm going to open this IPYNB file, and we're going to be running the first cell that we have here, this cell. I'm going to do run. So it's running now, unlike earlier on where it was empty here. So this is running. Immediately it's done, I'm going to run this one. But this one might be giving you certain issues because you've not configured your system. The AZ login was not done. So I'm going to do Control Enter or Shift Enter rather. So it's running. So it's connected, but typically it's not all the time that it's going to connect. I'm sure, Sophia, I don't know, is this where you were having your own problem? It connected because my system I've used this a lot. I even logged in just today as well. So I did the hard work of logging in. But for you, can you please bring up Sophia? I would like her to be unmuted all through this part so that we solve her problem. Shalom,
Yes.
can you please bring up Sophia?
Okay. Just a minute.
Okay.
Okay, Sophia, you can unmute now.
So I'm not sure her network allows her to follow, but I think we just proceed so we finish up. Maybe she looks at the recorded session. Sophia, I can tell you last time.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, powerful. So I said, is this where you have your issues? Is it the connection part that you have a problem when you're trying to use it?
No, not actually. The only issue I have, you have explained it, is when to switch, when
Oh,
to do the connection, when to switch from, or when to join the two platforms together. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
Azure and so
Okay.
that is the confusion I have.
Okay, and that's been cleared. So fine. So I
Yes.
think since nobody really has issues connecting, one thing I'll just show you is this easy login, just in case you have that particular situation. When you have the easy login issue, when you are having difficulty, let me put it that way, when you have difficulties logging in from a Jupyter notebook, this is the approach you should take. This Windows share. Okay. So this is our Jupyter notebook is still running, and I can monitor everything that is happening here. I'm going to do Control C so that I interrupt what is running. So it's interrupting. Okay, so I'm here. Whenever you have that challenge, just type AZ space and type login like this, then click enter. The moment you do that, it's going to pop up. I don't know, can you see a pop-up that is telling me to select the account I'm interested in? Hardly, I don't think you would.
Yes, we can see the pop-up. Yes.
Great. So that pop-up allows you to select what you want to do. So I'm going to click on my Gmail, and that's how it connects. So immediately this connection is completed, that's when you can now continue on your code. If you have multiple tenants, like me, I have my personal account and I have DSN's account. So it might have issues retrieving which tenant would it work with. If you have that problem, what you do is say AZ login. You now say dash dash, is this typing? Let me interrupt it just once more. So we're going to say AZ login, that's Azure login. Then you do dash dash dash, you type tenants. Then you go on Azure and pick the tenant, this tenant ID. So this is the tenant ID for DSN. So I'm going to pick this tenant ID, copy, and I'm going to paste it here. That I want to access this tenant, and I click enter so that it specifically goes here. It's because we're already here that we have this issue. But typically, if you have two tenants, it's going to list those tenants for you, copy paste the ID of that tenant so that you have access to it. And that's how you solve that particular login issue if you do face that issue. So I think with this, we have had an holistic overview of what we've learned so far. We touched the basics of cloud computing. We jumped on Azure, created a workspace. We did a simple pipeline. We executed that pipeline. We deleted the pipeline when we do not need it. We jumped onto a deep learning workflow on Jupyter Notebook, saw how to connect from Jupyter Notebook to Azure ML, and we looked at particular issues that we might face. One blocker that most teams have is with cards, and we said you need to go extra mile to get those cards working so that you uplift yourself. And if everybody is doing data science, you have the knowledge of Azure, not just Azure, AWS, GCP, all of them are going to require you to use cards. I think that's the basic issue that most of us had. I'll be taking questions now if there are certain questions before we close out for today. Also, I
Yes,
want to
there are some
apologize.
questions.
Okay, yeah, if there are some questions,
Yeah,
just go
there's
ahead.
some questions. So in a situation, Ijoma asks, in a situation where I have an error while working on the pipeline, do I have to start building the pipeline over again, or can I just make changes to the pipeline I created?
No, Ijoma. Had it been we've not deleted the pipeline we created earlier, if I go through the process of creating it, we might spend another extra 15 minutes here. So what you do is go back to the designer. You know, your pipeline says error. You read the error message. If you understand the error you have now, go back to your designer, edit that issue, and then run it again. So you don't need to create from the scratch. Just go back, edit it from your designer, and then rerun it. Another question says, why do we choose Azure ML over AWS SageMaker? Great question. Azure, AWS, GCP, these are things that you choose based on your need. if you're working with a company that is using AWS, if you love Azure, you're not using Azure, you're using what the company has everything that it's using on it because you're just joining, you should build upon what they're using. You use Azure when your organization is using Azure. You decide to use Azure. Now, let's not say your organization depends on you solely. You are the person that should make a decision on what we should use. You should consider your expertise as a person. Are you better with Azure or you're better at AWS? If you're better at AWS, then you can refer them to use AWS because your expertise is in AWS. Don't go and use what you do not know. So that's one scenario. Another question is, what do they want to do? AWS is best for startups because it's cheaper. A lot of startups make use of AWS because of the cost, but big companies go for Azure because of its interconnections with many of the resources. So most Fortune 500 companies will make use of Azure. They already have Microsoft this, Microsoft that, so they integrate Azure because everything just becomes an ecosystem. Power BI is also Azure based, so they want to just make one payment and it covers for everything. So I think those are like few scenarios where you decide which one to use, but it's your preference, Muhammad. You choose what you want to use based on particular reasons that are unique to yourself or your company. Number two, whenever I deployed, it rise, fail. When you have deployment issues, please look at the errors. Share the errors with your tutors, and then they're going to help you resolve those errors. Your deployment, if it fails, there's always error message. To click on those error message, try to find out. If you can't, send those error messages to your tutors and they'll be able to help. How can you stop a pipeline from running? Number one is don't run it. That's the first things, right? But if you have it running, you can always stop the execution. Just go to your jobs and you click on the job that is running and you click on stop. It's going to stop. You can even delete the job. It will delete. Next, please. Hope we are getting the recording of this class. I'll leave Madam Shalom to answer that. Yeah, so it's going to be shared in the classroom later. Another person said, Ibrahim, this is my first time coming to live class due to my light issues on my side. Thanks so much for this opportunity. And please, is there any attendance? Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Shalom? Another person said, the issue I face endlessly is getting a prompt that I am ineligible for an Azure account. The card verification, deduction and refunding was done. I changed the card and email, same issue. Keep recurring that I am ineligible. Interesting. Can you screenshot your particular issue and share with your tutor to see if there are certain errors, especially when you said, okay, you said deduction and refunding. You know that you do have access to $200 credit for a month. Has it been over a month, Zainab, that you had this particular account set up? If yes, then your $200 credit would have been exhausted, and then you need to maybe try out a new card or just make a $10 or $5 payment to make use of resources. I'm sure if you have $5 on it, you are able to make use of many resources. Just ensure the moment you are done, just delete everything you've done after screen recording for future references. Another one said, why is the LinkedIn contest closed? Okay.
Another question says, please,
Okay.
can you explain when and why to switch to Jupyter from Azure?
Wow. This person must really have joined us late. We've explained this like 3 times today, but we'll take it once again just for Timileyin. You switch to Jupyter when you want to perform custom tasks on Azure. When you have custom code and you want that custom code to run on Azure, that's when you switch to Jupyter Notebook. I think that simple explanation should do. Timileyin, are you now convinced? Are you okay? Good, then thank you. Okay, welcome to Milani. Zainab said no, it hasn't been a month. I think Zainab, just speak to Shalom after this call, or your teaching instructor. You can always screenshot your errors and speak to your tutors.
Zainab, you can send your screenshots to the classroom and it will be looked at from there. There's an instructor there that would help to assist.
Okay, yeah. So Muhammad said we didn't share our notebook for NLP. NLP was done on the designer, Muhammad. So we built pipelines on the designer where we did you have a text file, then we use our designer to clean it, we use our designer to tokenize it, we use embeddings, and then finally we're able to get the results of the NLP. So there's no Jupyter notebook for that because we used the designer to build it. So that's why you do not have a notebook. A LinkedIn URL. Mo, do your let me see. Let me just quickly go back. Mo, do you saying LinkedIn URL? It's not really clear.
He means your LinkedIn URL. They want to connect
Oh,
with you.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So just search for Mudathir Salahuddin. Let me just paste it here. Is it allowed, Shalom?
Yes, sure. It is.
Okay. Okay, so I can take one more question while I just pull the link for you all.
Someone asked, Khadija asked that she has changed her subscription to pay as you go. She's hoping there won't be any problems because she's using a virtual card.
Yeah, so just ensure that that virtual card, you have just little amount in there so that you do not forget to off particular resources. As that your virtual card is what charges will be on, but I bet you they're not going to charge you for it no use or anything like that. So you just feel free to make use of it.
Okay, I think that is all for today. I want to thank you, Mr. Salahuddin, so much for the insightful session. We all learned a lot and it was very engaging. And would like everyone to turn on their camera so that we can take a group photograph. We are fast. We spent a lot of time today. So thank you, Mr. Salahuddin. You really explained a lot today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Shalom. Regarding the LinkedIn profile, I believe Shalom has access to you. So she's going to share in your classroom. Do not worry. So Shalom, would you help me do that?
Yes, yes. It will be
Thank you.
shared along with other resources, if that's fine with you.
Awesome. Yeah, that's powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, and have a lovely day ahead. So you can always reach out to your tutors, even after the whole session, the whole program. You can always connect with me and send me your questions as well. Thank you so much and have a lovely day ahead.